Have you ever wondered why nearly every civilization tells stories about death, heroes, and a great flood? Long before the Greeks wrote of Achilles or Rome celebrated its emperors, there was another king. A king whose story has survived for over 4,000 years. His name was Gilgamesh. And although his story is not part of the Bible, it raises one of the Bible's greatest questions. Can mankind ever conquer death? Welcome back to Ancient Peoples. Today, we're traveling to ancient Mesopotamia, to the land between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. This is the birthplace of cities, kingship, and writing itself. Long before Israel existed, civilizations flourished there, leaving behind temples, palaces, and thousands upon thousands of clay tablets covered in cuneiform writing. Among those tablets was one of the oldest works of literature ever discovered, the Epic of Gilgamesh. At first glance, it looks like mythology. There are monsters, demigods, and impossible adventures. But beneath all of that is something remarkably human. It's the story of a man who realized that he was going to die. Gilgamesh was said to be the king of Uruk, an ancient Sumerian city in modern-day Iraq that spanned over 5,000 years of continuous habitation. And while the epic clearly contains legendary elements, many historians think Gilgamesh himself may have been a real king whose life was gradually surrounded by legend over the centuries. The story introduces him as a powerful ruler, but not necessarily a good one. He is arrogant, he's violent, he's a king who uses his strength for himself rather than for his people. And so the gods create someone to challenge him, a wild man named Enkidu. The two fight. Neither wins. Instead, they become inseparable friends. Together, they embark on impossible adventures, slaying monsters, defeating supernatural enemies, and winning glory throughout the ancient world. And for a while, Gilgamesh seems unstoppable. But then something happens that no king can defeat. Enkidu dies. And suddenly, the strongest man in the world becomes terrified. Because for the first time, he realizes that if Enkidu could die, then so could he. And everything changes. The epic stops being an adventure story and it becomes a search for eternal life. Gilgamesh leaves his kingdom behind. He crosses mountains, wanders through deserts, and journeys farther than anyone else has ever gone, searching to escape death itself. Eventually, he reaches a man named Utnapishtim. And here the story becomes especially interesting for readers of the Bible because Utnapishtim survived a great flood. According to the epic, the gods decreed to destroy humanity. One man was warned. He built a massive boat. He brought animals aboard. The floods came. The waters covered the earth, and eventually the boat rested. Birds were sent out to search for dry land. Now, if those details sound familiar, they should. The similarities between this story and the story of Genesis have fascinated scholars for a long time. Some argue that one story borrowed from the other. Others suggest they preserve independent memories of an ancient catastrophe. The stories place Utnapishtim and Noah as contemporaries before the flood, or maybe two differing memories of the same person. But whatever the conclusion someone reaches, one thing is clear. The peoples of the ancient Near East shared memories of a world-changing flood. But while the stories share certain features, they're not all telling the same story. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, the gods are divided, they are fearful, and often unpredictable. Human beings survive almost by accident. In Genesis, however, there's one sovereign God who judges the earth because of human wickedness. He preserves Noah according to his covenant, establishes his promises after the flood. The Bible presents history moving toward redemption. Gilgamesh presents humanity searching for answers. After hearing the flood story, Gilgamesh longs for eternal life. Eventually, he learns of a miraculous plant hidden beneath the waters, a plant capable of restoring youth. And against all odds, he finds it. At last, he has done what no one else could do, but before he could use it, a serpent Ironic, right? Steals what would give him life. And just like that, Gilgamesh's last hope disappears. He returns home with nothing, no immortality, no victory over death, only back to the city walls he built long before. And the epic ends by pointing back to those walls, almost as if to say, this is all mankind can leave behind. Buildings, kingdoms, monuments, names carved into stone, but not eternal life. And this is what makes Gilgamesh so fascinating. Not because it agrees with the Bible and not because it replaces the Bible, but because it asks the same question that every human heart eventually asks. Why do we die? Can death be defeated? Ancient Egypt answers through elaborate burial rituals. Mesopotamian sources search for hidden secrets. The kings of the ancient world built monuments that they hoped would make their names immortal. But the Bible gives a radically different answer. Death is not simply part of nature, it is the enemy. An enemy that entered the world through sin. Remember the serpent? And unlike Gilgamesh, Scripture does not tell us that the search ends in failure. It tells us that God himself enters history. In the myth, Gilgamesh is presented as a God-man, some blend of deity with humanity, yet still liable to death. But in the Bible, the true God-man, Jesus, appears. Not as a mighty king searching for eternal life, but as the one who is life. Where Gilgamesh failed to overcome death, Christ conquered it through his own resurrection. And so the oldest epic in history ends with the king standing before city walls. The gospel ends with an empty tomb. And that's why Christians can read the Epic of Gilgamesh with interest, but also with hope, because it reminds us that the greatest question ever asked by humanity has already been answered. If you enjoyed this episode of Ancient Peoples, subscribe as we continue exploring the civilizations, myths, and religions that surrounded Israel and the world into which God revealed himself. Because understanding the ancient world doesn't diminish the Bible. It helps us see just how extraordinary its message really is.